Alright, so a couple of little bit of a new video coming out here. Today we're walking around with my A7riii. I've had this camera for roughly 10 years actually. Might be wrong about that. And for about 5 years I've owned this Sony Zeiss 35mm f2.8. Thought I'd pull out this combo because it is actually what I pull out on my traveling jobs, and I used to use it for work quite a lot. Not this exact combo, I usually use a Sigma Art range series of lenses, but today I decided to go for this one, and I've got a series coming out of a Europe trip where this was one of my two primary cameras. So what are you seeing today? We have taken this camera combo out to the Chelsea FC versus Western Sydney Wanderers game, and what you're seeing now is just a couple of photos from outside, and we'll break down a couple of photos. There's a few little scenes that I do like quite a lot from in this, and there's a couple of scenes that I thought were kind of interesting, but it's out at a core stadium. This is one of Australia's biggest stadiums. I don't know what's bigger than a core stadium, but it's where a lot of the teams play. You can see we've got the lens combo here. They let you into the game with this. So for amateur journalism, this one's great. I think anything longer than this lens, they would have got a little bit odd. I'm shooting at a shutter speed of 200, and I'm shooting at f2.8 for the most part, and I've got my ISO range set quite high. I mean, don't really mind a little bit of grain you might see a little bit later, but I think my ISO range is up to 6,400 or something. This is my friend Ben. Ben was given free tickets to this game, so he went along, I went along, and a great excuse to shoot some shots. And along the way, I switched my camera to slow-mo S&Q mode and shot some 100 frames per second slow-mo footage. This camera shoots at 4K 8-bit, and slow-mo is 1080p at 100 frames per second. That would also be 8-bit as well, I believe. Shot everything Rec 709, and I've whacked this like little color grade on some of these clips. Okay, so what am I doing? I mean, we jump in and we find our seats. The stadium, as you can see, is kind of empty, so you can kind of go wherever you want in this place, but we're sitting on the corner. You can see my kind of beat up camera. I've got the Peak Design straps, they're really great. You can see how I've got my thing set up. All these photos you'll see now are just in JPEGs. I'm not really even going to do anything with the RAWs. There's only a few photos that I really liked. Yeah, so this color grade that I'm previewing now while I'm watching this isn't final, but it's pretty filmic from what I'm seeing. Just wanted it to be a bit contrasty from the photos, but we're going to get into the photos right now. So yeah, so what am I doing? We're sitting down in these seats, and I'm getting a lot of wides. I'm getting a lot of shots of fans from the front. I'm so glad they weren't all awkward, and I'm getting shots of a lot of people walking up and just essentially like walking up this corridor. It's not really the most exciting photos, and as you can see, I'm just keep getting the same kind of shots. So we end up moving from here, and we end up moving a little bit closer down, but I am actually kind of liking some of these wide shots. I think like wide shots with the fans are pretty cool, but we did want to get a little bit closer to the action. They had some fire going every now and then. Yeah, what am I doing? I'm not even a huge fan of soccer, but I do kind of know what would happen. This is probably my favorite photo from when we were up at the stands, just this casual fan walking around with like, I don't know how he was going to eat those chips. He's going to have to put them down at some point. Anyway, Ben and I walked down to the a little bit closer and got cozy next to this dude and this dude, and just pretty cozy right next to this fire. I like the fire. I like how the fire goes, and it's kind of cool. But under the lights, I started realizing that there's a little bit more happening down here. This is one of my favorite photos of the fire. I just loved how it illuminates above these fans' heads, and I mean, something about fire, a little bit of action, it's not going to go astray. Okay, so as we got down, we started seeing the Chelsea team actually working out a little bit, and we started noticing more and more people crowding in. So I thought it would be a cool opportunity to get up there and stand and be in the front row. And we thought they might have come over to this side a little bit, but there's a couple of flags in the way, flags on the ground. So they're not really, I guess they weren't really going to come over this way. This guy's just so bored, but I would be too. But what I did like about the Chelsea fans crowding around here is that it gave me a bit of an opportunity to get a little bit closer, and it gave me two really cool opportunities to take a series of photos and videos that I thought were kind of nice. And I missed the mark on one of them, but I think I capitalized on one of them as well. So you'll start seeing it here, and you can see just a sea of fans crossing in close. They don't care about the game. All they want to do is watch the Chelsea players. I don't think this would be their A-grade team that they would send over to Australia. Maybe against a good game. They are playing Tottenham a little bit later on after this game. A few days after, actually. But it's this guy with the hair. You'll see him later on. But anyway, I was just curious to see that there was quite a lot of people that were really interested in the Chelsea game, and a couple of nice little faces. But still, most of this is just kind of observing, not really partaking in anything actual strategic photography or planned photography. But I did see this guy down here, and I thought he looked really good, backlit as much as you can in a stadium, looking around, got the Drogba kit on, and I just thought he looked really cool with the kind of cinematic. And I thought I'd rattle off a couple of photos and that slow-mo clip that you would have seen a little bit earlier. But I mean, I've always liked switching these cameras to slow-mo, just S&Q mode, bake it in. I used to shoot a lot of sports, a lot of basketball earlier, and you would see a lot of my footage would be shot in 50 frames, shot in 100 frames, whatever it would be, and I'd get the option to slow it down a little bit later on. But nowadays I'm shooting more in 25 frames, and if I do end up wanting to shoot in 50, I'll just switch it to S&Q. But other than that, I'm not super impressed by any of these photos that I was capturing, but there was a series of photos coming up. I love this guy. He's got 4 beers with him. This was a nice one. These girls look like Dodgers fans or New York fans, but I guess they were there for Chelsea. I'm going to edit a couple of these in black and white, but I haven't edited those yet, so we don't know. But I stumbled across this little group. Now, this boy in the front row and his dad, I assume, they just caught my eye, and I thought it was kind of cool to see generational fandom watching. And the boy kind of swung around and was a little bit curious and ended up giving me this side eye, which I thought was just a really cool photo. And he's probably one of the only people that noticed me for the most part during this day, and I just thought it was pretty cool. But good to see the youth of the game. There is one more person that noticed me later on. You'll see that, but you'll see that a little bit later. But I just thought this was cool. The ball flies all the way over, and you can see everybody's got a crazy reaction. They'll follow and see where the ball went. But the little boy in the front row, he had his eyes locked in on the players, or maybe he was looking at something else, or maybe he had his eyes shut. Who knows? But I thought it was cool, and then they both looked over to me at the same time. This is the other person that noticed me filming, and I wasn't full on making it obvious that I was filming, but she did somehow make a lot of eye contact with the camera, and I just thought that the no smile emotion was really cool. And anyway, so I got one photo or a couple photos of her just looking around. I thought this was cool, but I wasn't really trying to get in anyone's face with this kind of stuff, but I just thought it was a cool emotion. Another generational fandoms, just watching the game. Thought it was cool. Made our way over to the Western Sydney Wanderers side of the field, I guess, and just to see the Western Sydney Wanderers doing it a little bit differently and seeing what they're all about was kind of cool. So rattled off a couple more slow-mo clips. The Wanderers fans are known for being more rowdy and more active than most of the other crowds. Supposedly they had flares going earlier in the day, but I did not see them. A little interesting. This is an interesting example Ben is quite a photographer in his own right, and he showed me how to set the metering to meter for the highlights, and it's an interesting concept. I thought once the stadium lights once it started metering for the highlights, it really changed the perspective of the grass, and it's got me thinking about auto exposure and what it might do for other scenes. But you can see this these current couple of slides of photos, I've got it metering for the grass, and I mean, it really kills the shadows, but it's not too bad. And I think either I've switched it back here, or maybe that's what it's doing, but I've just aimed it at something else. There's not too much else for the rest of this video. It's a couple of cinematic clips, but what are my thoughts? So as far as a travel combo, I think the A7riii is fantastic. 42 megapixel 4K 8-bit video with a 100 frames per second 1080p slow-mo option. You don't need a whole lot more than that. It doesn't have pro audio. It doesn't have a fantastic monitor. It is still a great B cam for me. I'm using my FS7 and my A7R3 as my A and B cam combo, and the B cam doubles as a really great stills camera. So where does it sit in the market? Well, it's about 10 years old, so no one's really buying this camera. Would I buy it as a second-hand camera? You know what? It's actually still pretty expensive. In a couple of years, if you can find a really good unused model, maybe. But by that time, it's probably been a pro camera for ages, and it's going to be unlikely that you can find a good model. Unless you get lucky. I'm not dropping the camera here, that's just me putting it down. Would I go to another soccer game and bring a camera? Really don't know. I probably would, it was kind of fun, and the crowd gets into it, and I mean, free tickets are free tickets. It ended up being something like 7.6 or something, or 6.5, or who knows what. I think maybe it was 6, maybe it was 7, maybe it was 6.4. I'm not sure. I thought this was funny. The security guards wear cleats so they can sprint after the streakers, I guess. And I just thought they must be pretty fit if they're going to be running after it. I don't think they all had cleats. It was mostly these couple of dudes, but thought it was interesting. And then the Western Sydney fans ended up breaking a few chairs and throwing them onto the field. So anyway, I've got a couple more vlogs coming out. We've got a Europe series that I'm working on. That's going to be a 6-part series or more if I break the episodes up. And I've got a 3-part underexposing film series coming out. So that'll be pretty cool. Anyway, I appreciate the support on this channel. I'm getting a couple of little tractions on the videos. You guys are liking the film, so we'll see if you guys like the digital videos that I've got coming out. Really excited about the Europe series. That's going to be really nice. I shot film and I shot digital there. And really happy to be shooting some film. But the last time I got a bunch of film developed, it cost me $100. So gonna slow down on the film, but might even start developing my own. Okay, well, anyway, subscribe if you like this nonsense, and give a like to this video if you like this nonsense, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about old digital cameras and what you think about the Sony Zeiss lenses. We don't see them very much these days. Are they still releasing them? I don't know. Have I always loved them? I've always admired people that use them, but I've had mine for a long time. It cost me about $800, and I've got a good amount of use out of it. So anyway, Puru, say hey to Mum for me and tell her that you miss her. Thanks.